here we were to grade 11 and we are futhi with a cast diagram or so you cannot excel in trigonometric without knowing this wheel, because everything is based on this wheel. So okay, don't worry, like 90 degrees, don't want to change. 270, don't want to change. 180, no change. 0 degrees and 360, no change. So the question is, if you see this orange line going up, I wrote anti-clockwise. Dingo really really chimona. Le opposite watch imona clockwise. So here limona clockwise and anti-clockwise. So then let clockwise. Theta is negative. Musilicomona clockwise. Legimana anti-clockwise, theta is positive. On the first quadrant, theta is positive. So, let me tell you something about the trig, what happens to the trigs. Okay, on the first quadrant, this symbolizes our first quadrant. On the first quadrant, all means positive, means all trigonometric ratios, they are positive on the first quadrant. That's why you can't see any negative answer there. So let's go to the second quadrant. On the second quadrant, only sign is positive, which means any other trig is negative. Let's go to the third quadrant. Only tan is positive, which means the other trigs, they are negative. On the fourth quadrant, only cos is positive. So what happens when we are going anti-clockwise? When we are going anti-clockwise, it means we are finding the angle that lies between 0 degrees and 90 degrees, which means if the angle is from 0 up to 90, is the angle 0 until 89. Those are only angles that we find here on the first quadrant. And the angles that 360 plus theta. Okay, so now if we say sine 90 degrees minus theta, 90 means what? 90 means change. So we say sine is what? Sine is positive on the first quadrant. So 90 means what? 90 means change. So sine will change to cos theta. Let's do another one. Cos of 90 degrees minus theta. On the first quadrant, cos is what? Cos is positive. So 90 means what? 90 means change. So this one will change to sin theta, or positive sin theta. Let's go to the third one. This one says tan 90 degrees minus theta. 90 means what? Cos your tan is positive on the first quadrant, which means tan will change to cot of theta. Let's do other ones. This one, it says sine 360 plus theta. 360 means what? 360 means no change, which means 360 sine is what? Sine is positive, so this will remain as sine theta. Let's do another one. This one says cos of 360 degrees plus theta. Cos is what? On the first quadrant, cos is positive because all the trig are positive. So it's gonna be cos theta because 360 means no change. So tan of 360 plus theta. Tan is what? Tan is positive because all the trig are positive. So this one is gonna be positive tan theta because 360 means no change. Now let's go to the second quadrant. Here only sine is positive, as is abbreviation for sine. Only sine is positive, which means only all other trig ratio except sine, they are negative. So sine is positive on the first quadrant, that's why I wrote positive here. But 90 plus theta means what? It means change, because from here up to 180, the angle that lies between here, they are higher than 90. That's why I say 90 plus theta. So 90 means what? 90 means change, so it's gonna be positive because sine is positive. So it's gonna be positive because sine is positive. But 90 means plus theta means change, so it's gonna be positive cos theta, because when sine change, it changes to be sine, then cos change to be sine, and then sine change to be cos. It's vice versa, but the tan changes to be cot. Now let's do cos. Cos of 90 degrees plus theta is. Now let's go to tan. Tan of 90 degrees plus theta is equals to a negative cot theta. How? Because tan is negative on the second quadrant, so it's negative. 90 plus theta means change, so tan will change to be cot theta, so the answer will be negative cot theta. Now let's do sine. Sine 180 minus theta. Sine is what? On the second quadrant is positive, so 180 means what? 180 means no change, so the trig won't change. So this one is gonna be like positive because sine is positive. It's gonna be positive sine theta. Cos 180 minus theta. Cos is what on the second quadrant? It is negative, so it's gonna be negative. 180 minus theta means what? 180 means no change, so it's gonna be negative cos theta. Now let's do tan. Tan of 180 degrees minus theta is equals to negative tan theta. Why? Because tan is negative on the second quadrant, then 180 means no change, so it's gonna be negative tan theta. Now let's go to the third quadrant. On the third quadrant, sine is negative because only tan is positive on the third quadrant. So sine 180 degrees plus theta is equals to, sine is negative because tan is only positive on the third quadrant, so it's gonna be negative sine theta. Why? Because 180 means no change, so cos 180 degrees plus theta, cos is what? Cos is negative on the third quadrant, so it's gonna be negative cos theta. Why? Because 180 plus theta means no change. 180 means no change, so the trig won't change. So let's go to the third one. Then tan of 180 degrees plus theta is equals to, tan is what? Tan is positive on the third quadrant, so it's going to be positive tan theta because 180 plus theta means no change. Now this one, sine 270 minus theta is equals to, sine is what on the third quadrant? Sine is negative, so it's going to be negative 270 minus theta means what? Means 270 means change, so it's going to be negative because it was sine. It's going to be negative cos theta because sine changes to cos. Now cos of 270 degrees minus theta is equals to, cos is what? Cos is negative on the third quadrant, so it's going to be negative 270. 270 means change, so it's going to be negative because it was cos. It's going to be negative sine theta. Now let's go to the last one. This one is a tan 270 minus theta. Tan is positive on the quadrant, on the third quadrant, so it's gonna be positive tan 270 minus theta means what? It means change. Tan changes to cot, so it's gonna be positive cot theta. Now let's go to the last quadrant, which is the fourth quadrant. Theta is negative on the fourth quadrant and positive on the first quadrant. So sine of 270 degrees plus theta, sine is what on the fourth quadrant? Is negative, so it's going to be negative. 270 still means what? It means change, so it's going to be negative because it was sine. It's going to be negative cos theta because the trig has to change. Now cos 270 plus theta, cos is what on the fourth quadrant? Cos is positive, so since cos is positive, it's going to be positive, but cos is positive, so it's going to be positive. But 270 means what? It means change, so it's going to be positive sine theta. Now tan 270 plus theta. Tan is what on the first quadrant? Tan is negative, so it's gonna be negative 270 plus theta means what? It means change, so it's gonna be negative cot theta because the trigger has to change on 270 and 90 degrees. Now let's go to the last one. Sine 360 degrees minus theta equals to negative sine theta. Why? Because sine is negative on the fourth quadrant. 360 means what? Means no change, so it's going to be negative sine theta. Cos 360 minus theta is going to be positive. Why? Because cos is positive on the fourth quadrant, so it's going to be positive. It's going to be positive cos theta because 360 minus theta, 360 means what? Means no change. So let's go to the last one. Then tan 360 minus theta. Tan is what on the first quadrant? Tan is negative, so it's gonna be negative 360 minus theta is what? It means no change, so it's gonna be negative tan theta.